Our viewers may remember that a couple of months ago we had on author Mike Arnold. He's written a book called Epicenter Nigeria, Radical Islam, and the War for Global Order. We got over 2 million views just on Facebook alone with that interview. So, as Stu Leonard, the famous grocery store magnate, said, if you press a light or switch and a light comes on, keep pressing the switch. Mike, welcome back to the truth.
Good to be here. I'll be your light switch.
All right. So, well, show us the light. What has happened in Nigeria since we spoke last?
So the genocide and the atrocities keep getting worse. More and more people are being killed, mainly Christians. And on top of that, the Nigerian government is going to great lengths to silence dissenters. People being thrown in jail, people disappearing, including one staff member of mine that we've had to take underground and smuggle out of the country. It's very dicey. They're
Wow.
also dumping money over here in the United States, at least $10 million in lobby contracts that are on paper. But the rumors and the evidence are they're doing a whole lot more than that. It's major narrative war is what it comes down to. And there's really human lives on the line in this narrative war. If our government and if President Trump end up not getting a clear picture and not doing the needful, the bloodshed that will result is, I think, going to be historically unprecedented.
So where are Donald Trump and Marco Rubio on this topic on Nigeria?
Well, Donald Trump and Rubio both talked about, the need to end the Christian genocide in Nigeria, and they've done a few pinpoint bombings, which is very encouraging. But when you peel back the layers of it, it's hard to discern exactly why they picked the targets they did. It's not the groups that are doing most of the killing. And it really looks like they've been directed by their Nigerian counterparts to take out the competition to the caliphate. The groups that they've hit so far are the ones that are not loyal to the caliphate, which controls Nigeria. I'm very concerned because not only this lobby, $10 million goes a long way in lobbyists, and they've hired some really sleazy lobbyists that are very effective. But on top of that, Trump's senior advisor on this, senior advisor to Africa and the Middle East, a man named Masad Boulos, is deeply conflicted. It's documentable that his family company profits significantly from no-bid contracts issued by the president of Nigeria today. And in fact, those contracts in 2024 equaled 72% of the Nigeria's federal budget in no-bid contracts to a man named Gilbert Chiguri, and Trump's advisor provides him his heavy equipment. So Trump's advisor, senior advisor, he also happens to be Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, is coming out and repeating verbatim the talking points of the Nigerian government. And that's Trump's senior advisor. It's not good.
Trump's senior advisor on Nigeria specifically?
Africa and the Middle East.
Wow, the foxes guarding the hen house, it sounds like.
Yes.
Well, so we have actually conducted bombing exercises in Nigeria?
Yes. And on Christmas Day, they struck an ISIS stronghold in northwest Nigeria in Sokoto State and took out a number of terrorists. And then just a month or so ago, took out the number 2 man in ISIS in the world who was holed up in Nigeria, which is interesting because the Nigerian government 2 years ago specifically came out and announced they had just killed that man.
Oh,
So
really?
what they did
Kind
was
of like maybe he's sharing a room with Epstein now.
well, they gave this 2 years ago. They gave this guy the greatest gift you can give a terrorist. They declared him dead, and he hasn't been. He had a stronghold in Nigeria, and again, Trump killed him officially about a month ago.
Wow. Well, this Bola Tinubu, he's not a nice person, is he? The current president of Nigeria. As I recall, he went to a high school, so he said, that had not been built or formed when he supposedly graduated from it.
Well, yeah, his college
Just for
records.
starters.
Yeah, his college records. One of them, on one of his college records, he's a woman. On another one, it's from a school that didn't exist at the time that the certificate was printed. He was and this is known, a drug kingpin in Chicago, had to forfeit $460,000 to a federal judge and flee the country back in 1993 for being implicated in a heroin ring.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and heroin funds 37% of global jihad, and Nigeria is a major heroin trafficking through country. So that's and in fact, there's a federal judge that ordered release. There's 2,500 pages of documents, DEA documents, that were supposed to be released June 1st by a federal court order, have not been released. And the FBI and the CIA issued briefs asking they not be released. Our government is blocking the release of these documents that implicate the president of Nigeria in a heroin trafficking ring.
Jiminy Christmas. You know, every time I pull back the curtain and look, it just gets dirtier and messier. I mean, this is horrific that our government is giving cover to the president of Nigeria that you allege was a drug dealer and was prosecuted in Chicago.
There's no allegation. It's in the court. What we do know and what has been released is, again, he forfeited $460,000 and had to flee the country because he was doing money laundering for a heroin trafficking ring. That's not an allegation. God. That's established. So yeah.
So you say that he listed as a woman at some point in his college career. Now, does that mean he identified as a woman, or he just used a female alias? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm following you on that one.
Who knows? He also passed a law, a decree that forged transcripts can't be used to disqualify someone for public office. So he made that law. But no, the questions remain. People really don't even know what his real name is. He just sort of came in, showed up out of nowhere, and went to Chicago. Interestingly, there was a period of time in the 80s, in the same relatively small geographic area in South Chicago, there were 4 people on the make: Barack Obama, David Axelrod, President Bola Tinubu, and the Pope. And if you look at how those things intersect, for example, recently the Pope came out and said, "Oh, there's nothing to see in Africa, in Nigeria." A couple of days earlier, he had a closed-door meeting with David Axelrod before he came out and said that. And if you know the history also, it was Axelrod who advised the presidential candidate at the time who defeated the Christian president with Obama's backing. So all 4 of those intersect in a very nefarious way right there in Nigeria and in South Chicago.
That is so disappointing, but not terribly surprising. Maybe Michelle and Tinubu are somehow know each other.
Hey, maybe she's the real Tinubu, because was she he or he is she? It's I don't really know.
Well, maybe Brigitte Macron is in that trio. I don't know.
I don't even want to go there.
I don't even want to go there. So let's talk about the lithium mines. Of all the bad stuff I've heard, this is the one that really enrages me. Explain to our listeners exactly what is happening.
Absolutely. And they're northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt, where this violence is mostly taking place, is a very rich mineral area. And it's the minerals of the future, the minerals that power your phone and your electric car. Yes. So lithium is a big one, californium and other rare earth elements. And tin, I never knew it, but tin is actually worth more, the ore, than lithium, because all the little circuit boards and all the microcircuits use the tin. So that's a future mineral as well with value in today's economy. And if you map the terror map where these attacks are taking place, it overlaps very conspicuously with the mineral map. And what I was up there. I was in the Middle Belt not long after the Christmas massacre in this community of Bokos, and one of the local high-level leaders said, "What do you see?" And I looked, and there's mountains of dirt where these Christians used to live. And this the strip mining. They after they're cleared off the land through massacre and displacement. Then the Chinese come in. I can tell you where their headquarters is in this community. I can tell you who the leader is in this community of that little segment. They come in and they strip mine it. It's all illegal. and they pay the jihadis. This is documented. The Nigerian government even admits this. They pay rent and they pay protection to the jihadis. And they clear the land, and the Chinese come and loot the minerals. At the very minimum, the Nigerian government had to document for this group, the international regulatory construct that they're in. They have to do an audited report, and they admitted that $9 billion a year is being looted from this region of lithium, gold, and other rare earth elements and such.
Well, so surely somebody's getting filthy rich off this, right? Those
Absolutely.
property owners must be driving around in Rolls Royce and Mercedes like the oil folks in Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple aspects of that. First of all, there's no doubt, and again, comes from on the ground. Me with boots on the ground there. Talking to these people, that a lot of this goes up the pipeline to pay off the generals and the military, who always show up late and who always block the local citizens from defending themselves and from pursuing the attackers. The military is on the surface. I mean, it's clearly complicit in what's going on. That's a lot of the blood mineral money, and then it flows up to the capital, to the politicians. It's a wash in blood mineral money. Interestingly, it was President Goodluck Jonathan in his living room that originally told me to look into the blood minerals in 2024. So I mean, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is known. Now, the other thing, there are now at least 8 black flag jihad groups that have assembled and have staged and are operating in this region. You got Al Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram, and you just go down the list. And they generate their income off of their domain. So the blood mineral racket is part of that. The heroin trafficking is part of that, and then modern day slavery, a huge part of that. Today that they sell the slaves back as ransom. The ones that the family can pay. They get more that way. Otherwise, they sell them into slavery. It's a huge slave center, and those are the side hustles of these jihad groups. Like Mohammed would attack the camel caravans. That's their, and my calculations, and it's fairly well documented, they're generating about $3 billion a year just for the jihad groups through these various side hustles, which is a lot of AK-47s.
So what does happen to the property owners, the people whose land they are strip mining? How do they get hold of the land?
Well, they go in there and they kill them. They go in there and they burn the villages, burn the churches. They rape the women. They sell them into sex slavery. And the ones they don't kill and abduct, that flee as displaced. That's why there's 10 to 12 million displaced across Nigeria today. There were effectively 0 displaced in 2010 when I started going to Nigeria. So yeah, they just drive them off the land. They clear the people off through jihad, and then the Chinese come and extract the minerals. And Nigeria is not unique to that. I mean, it happens all over the world, but Nigeria is the capital of it because it's so big.
We'll get right back to the show after this brief word from our sponsor, Masculine Man Essentials. Look, most deodorants on the shelf are full of aluminum, parabens, and synthetic junk. Masculine Man Essentials goes at it differently. All natural ingredients, built for men, and it actually holds up through the whole day long. Whether you're at the office, at the gym, in traffic, or just getting home for the night, try Masculine Man Essentials. I've been using it, and I can tell you, it's the real deal. Head to masculinemanessentials.com, grab yourself a 2-pack or a 4-pack, use the promo code TRUTH at the checkout to save on your first order, and the link is in today's show notes. As you know, we don't put our name on anything that we haven't tried and believe in. So when I tell you about Nessa's Hemp, I want you to listen up. Nessa's Hemp is a Chicago-based company that makes hemp, and it was founded by Anessa. And what she's built is really something. We're talking about clean, high-quality hemp products with no gimmicks, just real ingredients, real transparency, with real results. Whether you're dealing with stress, sleep issues, inflammation, or you just want to add something natural to your wellness routine, Nessa's Hemp has something to offer you. Head over to nessahemp.com, that's NESAS hemp.com, and check out what they've got. Use our promo code TRUTH for a discount just by being our listener. Well, where's the rest of the civilized world? Is the EU concerned about what's happening in Nigeria? What about Middle Eastern countries that are well settled? I mean, and you talked about the United States. It sounds like that Trump and Rubio are getting bad information. Where I guess what I'm asking, and it sounds like the Pope may even be compromised.
Yep.
Who's going to save Nigeria and the people of Nigeria?
It's in God's hands. There's a handful of us doing everything we can. I've given my life to this, and I was prepared to give my life for it. If you remember back last October when I was invited to be the Jane Fonda of Nigeria, and I at the press conference after my Stooge tour, instead of smiling and nodding, I told the truth. And that's what blew this whole thing up to begin with. I was told that they might kill me for that. There's a handful of us that are shouting, and just did a briefing day before yesterday in Washington, D.C. And one of the lobby firms, the $9 million contract, one of their people was there, and they've been doing hit pieces on me, since then, trying to discredit me. I just got a call from a Nigerian businessman who lives in the United States. He posted a picture with me months and months ago before anybody knew me, but now the government is trying to detain him and shut him down and confiscate his wealth because he's associated with me and I'm speaking the truth. One other person before me that spoke this truth publicly is now serving a life sentence in the Caliphate prison. Convicted under a law that didn't exist, illegally abducted from a foreign country. He's a British citizen, but he spoke against this caliphate, and now he's serving a life sentence.
Would you even contemplate going back to Nigeria at this point?
Oh yeah, but they won't let me in. There's no doubt I'm blacklisted. I've been called out publicly by the president of Nigeria, by the Sultan of Sokoto, by the Imam to Boko Haram. I'm a marked man. But I'd go back if I could get in. Why not?
I would be worried that you could get in, but you couldn't get out.
That's what I thought was going to happen last time. But now I have such a profile. If they did something like that, that would certainly blow the whole thing up. There's no way they could. I don't think they could endure the public awareness. So if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But it's so conflicted, even in the movement itself. There's people that are supplying equipment to the Nigerian government in the middle of all this, and they're calling themselves, missionaries. It's insane.
Well, again, is there any government in the world that is focused on the people of Nigeria and who want to try and free them from this tyranny?
No, I haven't seen it. And this is historical. I recently posted, there was a classified document written by Henry Kissinger when he was in the government under Nixon. And it was classified for 15 years. And it just speaks, what was up to then unspoken. And it says, look, the developed world is running out of minerals and resources. Africa is full of them. The problem is there's people there. And so, for when we do our extraction and do what we're doing, it's going to generate all these disaffected people, and we need to figure out how to reduce their population so that it doesn't become a problem. And the policy was how to keep these people down, how to reduce their population through any means necessary, so that they don't get in the way of us extracting their minerals. That's generally the foreign policy across the planet, and has been for a couple hundred years. Let's
such a shame.
Yeah,
that really cost a lot of time, energy, and money to do that. What a great story someone could tell if they had taken just the opposite and help these people prosper because of their minerals, help them extract it in an environmentally friendly way, allowed the people to profit off their assets, and develop Nigeria into a thriving, affluent country. It just seems very evil based on the way that you're describing it.
Oh, it's
That
pure evil.
anybody would think like this.
It's pure evil. And when you realize, like, for example, so it was the 1880s, the Berlin Conference, when Europe got together without one African person present and carved up Africa like a Christmas turkey. Okay, you get the wing and you get the breast and you get, and that's where the boundaries of most of the nations are drawn, is from that. And so the British went in to Nigeria, found this bloodthirsty caliphate. The Sokoto Caliphate is the largest enslaver of free Africans in the history of the world. And it's still at it today. And it's a jihad, genocidal caliphate founded explicitly by the founder to be the launch pad for the Mahdi, the prophesied jihad messiah that's going to conquer the world. And that's what is the foundation of the caliphate that is still taught today, that's revered. That's the purpose. And the British found that. They didn't conquer it. They didn't undo it. They rebranded it, and they used it as their enforcers and their deal makers. The civilization in the South, what very advanced. Wherever those people relocate, they rise to the very top. Wealthiest, most educated United States is Nigerians from the South and the Southeast. And they have such amazing potential, but the British shackled them to this caliphate, gave control to the caliphate. And this was 1960. So when they tried to split away, when the Southeast tried to split, they didn't even try to get independence at first. They just wanted to be left alone. That's where the oil is. Then they just said, leave our people alone, let us do our thing, and you can have the oil. But that wasn't good enough. With British backing between 1967 and 1970, while our kids were smoking weed at Woodstock, they starved to death some 3 million, mostly children, to retain control of the oil.
You're saying the British did that?
The British did that, fully documented, and you can't talk about it, but they've extracted some $2 trillion in resources since independence in 1960. And again, look it up, Biafran War. They starved to death. They were shooting down Red Cross aid planes who were trying to bring food to these children. Starved to death, and the settled number, some observers say up to 5 million. And the official sterilized version says 1 million, which is as if that's okay. But the settled number, about 3 million starved to death in 30 months, so the British could keep the oil and so the caliphate could keep control. And that's historical fact. This is, when you put that all together, the longest running genocide on the face of the earth. Since the founding of the caliphate in 1804 to today, they're still in control, same throne, same bloodline, same doctrine, same tactics, beheading, rape, murder, all this stuff. Same tactic. All of it's the same, unbroken, 222 years, and it's on par with the German Holocaust in gross numbers.
My gosh, and it's happening right in real time, and it sounds like nobody cares. I mean, where is the leadership? Where is the morality to stop this? But you're describing a country that has got all the ingredients of a demonic state: slavery, genocide, thievery, corruption. I mean, how much worse does it have to get before someone stands up and takes notice? And when I say someone, I'm talking about a government that has the ability to intervene.
That's interesting exercise. One, it's been suppressed and denied for so long. For example, what I've talked about, the genocide that happened in 67 to 70, that was the breakaway nation was called Biafra. You can't say that word in Washington. They will shut you down. You can't say that in Great Britain. It's in our lifetimes, a genocide. 3 million, mostly children, starved to death, and you can't talk about it. We just don't go there. The wrong side won. It's as if the Nazis won World War II, and you can't talk about this Holocaust thing because that's who's in control, and they have the oil and they have the minerals. And our foreign policy at the time, we knew about it. The U.S. knew about it and called it, it's an internal matter. It's an internal affair because we had oil contracts too.
And so was Iran. That was an internal matter. I mean, they killed 43,000 of their own citizens just since
Yeah.
January of this year. That was part of the justification for us going in. We went into Venezuela because Maduro was there, and he was perceived to be a evil leader that killed people and also engaged in the heroin trade. We ran China out of the Panama Canal. I mean, why don't we show some resolve and a backbone and help these helpless people in Nigeria?
Because we're complicit. Obama unleashed the current jihad that's what is it's flared up since 2013, 2014. He poured fuel on that on purpose because they had a Southern Christian president who was pushing back against the caliphate. And he blocked our aid in the fight against terror. He blocked Nigeria from going to other nations that tried to go to Israel, South Africa. He blocked that. He very openly telegraphed support for the Muslim warlord challenger, brutal dictator who had called for global Sharia law. Obama backed him. David Axelrod was his campaign advisor. And we got this guy elected, defeated, took the office. Don't know if he really won. You know how that goes. And then our Secretary of State, John Kerry, flies to Sokoto, not the capital. He flies to the seat of the caliphate and congratulates the Sultan after the election. That was what Obama did. He handed it to them. And so how do we come back from that? So, whoops, sorry, folks. Now we're going to fix it. We've been complicit in this from day one. We looked the other way when 3 million of your children were killed. There's people still alive today whose children starved to death in their arms. How do you say, oh, sorry, now we're here to help? How are they going to trust us?
So how large of a landmass is Nigeria? I mean, can you compare it to a U.S. state? I mean, is it bigger than Texas?
Texas. It's the size of Texas.
The size of Texas with 100 million people?
It has about 230 thereabouts million people. Very fast growing. Average age is 18.2. They're on track to be the third largest nation on earth by 2050.
My gosh. And they're rich in minerals and natural resources. So it should be a very prosperous state. It's just so disappointing that people are abusing the citizens of Nigeria to the extent that they have. All right. Well, you've made us upset. You've made us ill. Can you make us well? Where is the source of optimism? How is this going to get turned around? And when is the humanitarian aid going to come, and from what corner?
Well, as I said, it's in the hands of the Lord. There's people doing everything we can to raise awareness, raise the alarm, and I just had to turn a death threat over to the FBI. Ambassador Sam Brownback told me I need to start carrying because my life's in danger for speaking the truth. And we just need to keep raising awareness. Light pierces the darkness. Darkness doesn't exist. It's the absence of light. And we must keep shining a light and keep speaking truth. There is no politician that's going to burn up their political capital to go against the world's powers that be to do something there unless there's an outcry from their constituents. It's just not going to happen. Never has happened that way. We need to keep raising awareness. We need to keep doing what you're doing right here and talking about it. We need the narrative war that's raging right now is going to decide not only the fate of Nigeria, but I believe largely the fate of the world, because this trajectory, Nigeria, top 5 member of OPEC, $1 trillion in minerals, on track to be the third largest nation on earth by 2050, very vibrant nation. Today, the man that's in charge, appointed by President Tinubu, the man that's in charge of rewriting their national curriculum, every grade level, every subject. This man, his sole claim to fame, he is the top scholar for the Boko Haram philosophy. He considers it intellectual jihad to purge Western thought. His manifesto is called The Islamization of Knowledge. That's who's writing the curriculum now, every grade level, every subject, for 50 million Nigerian children. Their military They just signed a training agreement with Turkey. Turkey uses the Sadat group as their African outfit. Sadat, the founder of Sadat, said he founded it to prepare the way for the Mahdi. And they recruit trainers from active ISIS fighters in Syria. That's who's training Nigerian special forces, is to prepare for the Mahdi, ISIS fighters. There's about 12 million displaced with a 50 to 60% chance of being radicalized. And then at the same time, there's 10 to 15 million Almajiri in northern Nigeria, which are boys that have been given to the imam to raise in the madrasa, being fed nothing but jihad ideology. So we have 12 to 15 million Almajiri, as many as 50 to 60% of 12 million displaced. And then you have the public school system there, all being fed radical ideology. This is a ticking time bomb, unprecedented. If they are able to retain control and endure Trump's gaze, the pushback is going to make that Biafran genocide look like a warm-up. And their stated intention, the prophetic purpose, is to use Nigeria as a launch pad for global jihad. And we better start taking this seriously. It's not a religious persecution issue. This is vital national security.
Well, do you have allies that you're working with? I mean, you're not fighting this battle solely alone, are you?
It feels that way sometimes. The people that you think are allies sometimes aren't.
Are there any allies in Congress?
So Trump put Congressman Riley Moore as his point of contact on Nigeria. From everything I can tell, a decent man, no doubt about it. He's a freshman congressman, and he's just new to this. He did a little quick tour over there, came back and made these recommendations, and he's come out and said, "I'm so glad to be working with the Nigerian government."
Have you had an opportunity to meet and speak with him?
I'm trying, but when $9 million in lobbyists and conflicted advisors make it difficult sometimes.
What state is he from?
West Virginia.
I see. Well, I'm so grateful to you and enamored with the work that you're doing. And I hope that you will, I'm sure you're going to stick with it. I hope that you will get traction and find success. The 230 million people certainly need a savior. What's the attitude of the Nigerian people?
So that's a good question. I didn't circle back on that, on the hope side of it. So these civilizations, these nations, really that the British lumped all together, remarkable history. The Southeast, for example, the Igbo, they were producing sophisticated lost wax cast bronzes in the 800s when Europe was still in the Dark Ages, in a rough Iron Age. They were doing sophisticated bronzes. They had a very egalitarian, consensus-based form of government. One of the walled cities in Nigeria has bigger wall than the Great Wall of China. Amazing works. They had written language long before a lot of the premier nations of the world today did. And their people, even today, when they resettle, they become the elite. They rise to the top. They have so much potential. It really could be like a Wakanda. And the population is about evenly split, Muslim and Christian. But even a lot of the Muslims are victims of this caliphate. They've killed about a third of the victims of this genocide are Muslims who won't join the jihad. So there is a base there that could rise up and really build something wonderful. Right now, Nigerian diaspora from the United States sends back about $20 billion a year. And all the ones that I've talked to said, yeah, we would relocate back there in a heartbeat to build this great nation if they're just given a chance. And there are steps Trump could take today that could make that happen. But will he? I don't know.
Well, I hope he or someone in his circle has watched our program on Nigeria with you, Mike. And I certainly think that it is a policy and a foreign policy that our own government should have a dramatic interest in, because we say we stand for protecting humanity, and this is a good place to start based on what I've learned in a very short period of time. So thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you will continue to come back and keep us informed and help you in your quest to free these people.
Thank you. Anytime. This is Africa, there's no place on earth that's been raped, looted, extracted from, dumped on, divided than Africa. And it has been like that for centuries. And you see what's happening in Great Britain today. That's just the chickens coming home to roost. I hate to say it, but they're reaping what they've sown. And it's happening here. Somebody has to have the courage to stand up and repent and say, we've done this, but we're going to help fix it now.
Yeah.
It needs to happen because you can't keep sweeping it under the rug. The longer the truth is suppressed, the more explosive it is when it comes out, and the more the darkness grows. And at some point, we have to realize that this policy that we've been pursuing from day one is going to kill us if we don't reverse course. And that needs to happen. It needs to happen very soon. Sounds
like sage advice and a good concept to end our interview on today. Mike, thank you so much once again. Mike Arnold has authored the book, Epicenter, Nigeria, Radical Islam, and the War for Global Order. I love the concept, global order. It sounds like we could start right in Nigeria. Thank you again, Mike, and continue to do God's work.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
I hope you enjoyed our interview with Mike Arnold. He is a courageous individual, and he shared with me off camera. He alluded to it in the interview that one of his associates chose to speak truth to the powerful in Nigeria. He is now fleeing the country in order to save his own life. If you're as moved by the story as I am, and, I kept asking Mike, who are your allies? Who's helping you in this effort? And it sounded to me that Mike is one of very few people around the globe that are really focused on what's happening in Nigeria. If you would like to help Mike and his cause, you can donate to AfricaAriseusa.org. That's AfricaAriseusa.org. I've sent my donation, and I hope that you'll send yours. And that is the truth, and I'm John Gordon.